I found out about this guy Dan Wootton from following Depp and Heard for quite a while, and Dan was not so liked by the Johnny community because he wrote some pretty silly things about Johnny. Things that I don't like to repeat, and he also supported Amber. But also, Dan wrote some not such nice things about a lot of other celebs over the years, and that might be coming back to him. Notably, Lily Allen, who posted some things about Dan as well. But as far as the media, the Byline Times here has been very on the money with Dan. They seem very legit, and furthermore, the people writing this article worked with Dan in the past. It's from July 20th, 2023. It's called Dan Wootton was a serial bully at the Sun, but bosses promoted him as complaints were silenced. This here's part one. Gonna talk about a few things, and then there will be a part two to this video. So first, let's see what they got. They start with some basics that we've heard over the last week. Dan works for GB News right now. He's a columnist at the Mail Online. They talk about the allegations. They say Wootton used the online synonym Martin Branning and Maria Joseph, among others, to trick and bribe scores of men into revealing compromising SEXUAL material for tax-free sums of money up to 30,000 euros. I think it's euros. I'm pretty bad with these non-Japanese currencies, so I'm here in Japan. But anyway, there are the basic allegations. They also said they spoke to multiple former editorial and support staff at Britain's biggest tabloid, and many were fearful of being identified after their experiences working at the Murdoch-owned News UK, with one left suicidal, another suffering stress-induced hair loss, and others deserting the industry. So, not so good. They then mention various allegations have emerged online and been reported over the last few days in relation to, you know who, Mr. Dan. So it's looking like not just this one person, but a lot of people are coming out. So, we've known that, but let's see the more newer things they say. You were either with him or against him. As part of a 3-year special investigation into a 40-year-old Wootton, details of which we will continue to publish over the coming days and weeks, Byline Times is today examining his professional conduct while employed at The Sun. While News UK last night urged potential complaints to go to The Sun's corporate affairs team if contacted by external media for comment, this newspaper is taking care not to reveal the sexes or job titles of the 6 people, wait, not 4, 6 people, whom it's understood are not the only ones who feel they were bullied or harassed by Wootton. Wait a minute. So if I'm getting this right, Dan's video was saying that these allegations from this guy Alex, from this person, are false. It seemed like he was talking about, a few allegations, but it seems to me there's a lot here. And it continues. In one of the cases, a very senior member of the Sun team took a kitchen knife to a meeting with a former editor of the newspaper with the intention of slitting their own wrists in front of the executive who had sided with Wootton in a dispute ultimately settled for a 6-figure sum. That's pretty heavy. The Sun made the payout at the 11th hour at the steps of an employment tribunal in 2018, at which emails from Wootton disclosed to the employee's lawyers would have entered the public record and led to judicial findings of fact. Former staff have told Byline Times investigators how Wootton continually tried to make people admit they were bisexual or gay. He challenged people on their sexual orientation all the time. Several sources have spoken of the sexual harassment of male colleagues, while at least 2 female colleagues were reduced to tears daily by his conduct. Naming 3 particular targets of very inappropriate behavior, they said he sexually harassed these male colleagues all the time. One would come in, and Dan would often comment on the way he looked and goad him, saying, "Are you sure you want to be married? We all know you're gay." He was presuming them to turn gay and acting like it was a joke, but people, men, women, everyone who heard were visibly uncomfortable, especially as it was coming from a boss. Okay. Fair enough. It's just a little bit tricky to me because I've got a boss right now who jokes a lot and things like that. And it's not an end all thing for me. But once again, there's a lot of other things out, allegations against Dan. So that would lead me to believe that, yeah, it probably was serious. A different source said you were either with him or against him. If you were against him, he would make your life a misery. And if you were with him, he would treat you as a slave. He'd demand people run errands for him, get him food or drinks, or do his dry cleaning. It was so demanding, but it amused him. If you wanted to stay in your job, there was no choice but to endure. Well, that sounds pretty bad. A boss tell me to do their dry cleaning? Ugh. Get drinks? It depends. If I'm already going out and they're like, hey, if you're going out, I'm going to stay in the office. Can you pick me up this, please? Maybe. But if, you're just working, they're like, get me drinks. Get me a Big Mac. Not so tasteful, Dan. Allegedly, not so tasteful. Other people said Dan made them feel helpless. They go on to say another staff member became thinner and thinner. I guess, obviously, weight loss from stress and things like that from being around, well, you know who now. Someone also says there were months and months of real bullying, mind games, and heavy emails, often late at night, so bad they ruined your sleep. So it seems like, yes, we need more info. We don't have complete details here, but there's a potential of allegations here that could really, really set the record straight. And this part finishes here. In October 2018, Private Eye reported on admissions about Wootton without naming him regarding an investigation into the subject of bullying complaints a year earlier. The magazine told how a tired and emotional former head of HR, Rachel Martin, who like Wootton is from New Zealand, had told a group of journalists drinking in a pub by News UK Central London headquarters that she had tried to protect Wootton during a probe she was overseeing into his conduct. So, looks like Dan had people protecting him. They say in so many words that Dan was kind of investigating himself. This Rachel Martin person was his best mate. So obviously, in that case, the stuff, like they said, would probably be silenced. Anyway, let me know what you think down below. Part 2 coming out soon. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. If you don't, I'll be real sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.